The forbidden truth, what they never wanted you to know. Do you believe we're alone in the universe? You might want to think again. For decades, we've been told the same story. UFOs aren't real. Aliens don't exist. Go back to sleep. But beneath the surface, something far more disturbing has been unfolding. Leaked documents, whistleblower testimonies, eyewitness accounts too detailed to ignore, too many coincidences, too many weather balloons, too many secrets buried in restricted files. And the deeper you dig, the more chilling the truth becomes. They lied to us, repeatedly. In 1947, something strange fell from the sky near Roswell, New Mexico. The military first claimed it was a flying disc. Then, just hours later, they changed their story. It was just a weather balloon, they said. But witnesses on the ground reported something different. They described metallic debris unlike anything they'd seen. Symbols etched into the wreckage. Bodies small, gray, with oversized heads quickly taken away by armed men. And then silence. The pattern began. Year after year, strange objects were seen across the world. They moved at impossible speeds. They made no sound. They defied gravity. Pilots saw them. Astronauts whispered about them. Radars locked onto them only for the objects to disappear without a trace. And the response? Nothing to see here. Swamp gas. Mass hysteria. But what if it wasn't? What if the reason they've told us nothing is because they know everything? What if they've been covering up the truth not for us, but for decades? Top secret, top denial. The CIA, the Pentagon, the Air Force, they all ran programs dedicated to studying UFOs long before they admitted it. From Project Sign to Project Grudge, and then to Project Blue Book. Thousands of cases were quietly documented, 700 of them unexplained. And when Blue Book was shut down, we were told UFOs pose no threat. But declassified memos revealed something else. Military officials were deeply alarmed. Some even believed these craft were not from Earth. Whistleblowers silenced. Scientists who spoke up, they lost their funding. Their credentials were questioned, their reputations destroyed. Soldiers who saw too much, threatened, transferred, erased. Even high-ranking officials were told to shut up and move on. Why the silence? Because if the public knew the truth, everything would change. Religions would be shaken. Governments would lose control. Military powers would be exposed for their lives. And worst of all, we'd realize we're not the most advanced species on this planet. But cracks in the wall are showing. In recent years, something shifted. Video footage from military jets leaked to the public. The objects they captured. No wings, no visible propulsion. Moving faster than anything man-made. In 2020, the Pentagon finally confirmed. Yes, these videos are real. No, we don't know what they are. Let that sink in. The most powerful military in the world admits they are seeing things they can't explain. And yet no panic, no answers, just silence, controlled disclosure, or deliberate distraction. Why now? Why admit some truth, but still hide the rest? Some believe we're being slowly prepared, conditioned, drip-fed small doses of the truth, so that when the full story comes out, we won't freak out. Others believe this is misdirection, that while our eyes are on blurry videos, the real evidence stays locked in black sites, crafts, bodies, technology, and maybe even contact. If you were in power, what would you do? Would you tell the world that we're being watched by something we can't control? Would you admit that some UFOs aren't experimental aircraft, but something far beyond us? Or would you do what they did? Lie? Dismiss? Distract? until no one believes anything anymore. But the evidence won't stay hidden forever. Files have been leaked. Pilots are speaking up. Even former Pentagon insiders have started telling their stories. And what they say is terrifying. Not only are we not alone, but they've been here, watching us, maybe even influencing us. For how long? Centuries? Millennia? No one knows. But if even half of these claims are true, then history as we know it is a lie. So ask yourself, why would so many people risk everything? Their jobs, their families, their lives, to talk about aliens? What did they see that shook them so deeply? They couldn't keep quiet. Why are ancient structures around the world aligned with stars? With mathematical precision modern engineers can't explain. Why did the US military chase flying objects that outmaneuvered their best jets, and then classify the reports? Why are whistleblowers disappearing? Why are mainstream scientists still too afraid to ask the obvious? Why are we still pretending that the skies are empty? Because deep down we know they're not. We've seen the signs. We've heard the stories, we've watched the skies, and despite all the denials, all the ridicule, all the distractions, one truth remains. Something is out there, and the people in power, they know it. The beginning of a revelation. This is just the start. In the next chapter, we'll explore the most infamous UFO event in history, the Roswell incident. What really fell from the sky in 1947? Why was the story changed overnight? And what was the US government so desperate to hide? The answers may already be out there, if you know where to look. The Roswell crash, a craft not of this earth. The year was 1947. The sky over New Mexico split open. And what came down changed history forever. A stormy night. A blinding flash, then silence. It was July. A thunderstorm had rolled across the desert. Then something fell from the sky. Rancher Mac Brazel found strange debris on his property the next morning. He couldn't explain it. Metal fragments that couldn't be burned, bent, or broken. Light as a feather, sharp as glass. And they remembered their shape. Crumple it, and it snapped right back. He alerted local authorities. Soon, the military arrived. The site was locked down. And then the headline that stunned the world. RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. A real flying disc. Not speculation. Not a hoax. Published by the U.S. Army Air Forces themselves. For a moment, the world held its breath. But just 24 hours later, the story changed. Suddenly, a second press release was issued. It wasn't a saucer. It was just a weather balloon. No explanation. No photos. No further comment. The media dropped the story. Just like that. But those who had seen the wreckage knew something was wrong. The debris that shouldn't exist. Witnesses described floor-like material that couldn't be torn. Sticks with strange symbols, not English, not Russian, not human. Beams that couldn't burn. Thread-like wires that were impossibly strong. Even high-ranking officers were stunned. Major Jesse Marcel, one of the first on the scene, later said, "It was not anything from this earth. I handled it myself." But Marcel was told to stay quiet, to play along with the weather balloon story. And he did for 30 years, until he couldn't anymore. The bodies nobody wants to talk about. Then came the rumors, from civilians, from doctors, from undertakers, that bodies were recovered from the crash. Not human. Small, thin, with oversized heads and dark, lidless eyes. Air Force officials dismissed it as urban legend. But why were they moving bodies under armed guard in the dead of night? Some say They were taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, to a vault known only as Hangar 18. What happened to them? No one knows. No one dares say. The timeline doesn't add up. The military said it was a weather balloon from Project Mogul, a top-secret initiative to monitor Soviet nukes. But here's the problem. Project Mogul wasn't classified until years later. Weather balloons don't create massive debris fields. They don't involve armed retrieval teams, body transport units, and total lockdowns. And most importantly, the material described by Brazel and Marcel was unlike anything on Earth. Witnesses were threatened. Multiple civilians who saw the wreckage were threatened into silence. One woman said an officer told her, "If you talk about this, your bones will be found in the desert." Another said her house was searched. Her notes were taken. Her camera smashed. Why such extreme measures? For a weather balloon? The cover-up becomes the story. For decades, the official line never changed. Then, in the 1990s, under pressure from public outrage, the U.S. Air Force issued a new report. They admitted they had misled the public, but their excuse: "We were covering up a classified balloon, and the alien bodies, just crash test dummies." Seriously, crash test dummies. People laugh. People cried. Some believe. Most didn't. What are they really hiding? Could the Roswell crash have been a turning point in human history? Did we recover technology not of this earth? Did we begin to reverse engineer it? Was this the moment when humans began working with alien tech behind closed doors? Some believe it led to stealth aircraft, fiber optics, integrated circuits, lasers, too convenient, too advanced for the time. Many think so. Insiders speak out. Over the years, military insiders have broken their silence. From generals to engineers, they tell a similar story. Roswell was real. The craft was not ours. It came from somewhere else. We've been studying it ever since. But the government sticks to the script. There's nothing to see here. And that alone is the biggest red flag of all. The cultural impact. Since Roswell, our obsession with aliens exploded. Movies, books, TV shows, conspiracies. But what if this wasn't fiction? What if the truth was buried inside the stories we mocked? What if Roswell wasn't the beginning of UFO culture, but the result of something so real it broke our reality? Too big to admit. Imagine this. A craft crashes. Bodies are recovered. Technology is beyond anything humans have ever seen. And now, you are the U.S. president. What do you do? Tell the world? Cause mass panic, shatter religion, science, and geopolitical balance. Or cover it up, control the narrative. Buy time. That's what some believe happened. Not out of evil, but out of fear. Fear that we weren't ready. But are we ready now? 75 years later, we still don't have answers. And yet, the story refuses to die. Because deep down, something about Roswell feels true. Too many witnesses, too many contradictions, too much fear from those in power. If it was a balloon, why the secrecy? If it was nothing, why the threats? If it didn't matter, why are we still talking about it? Ask yourself this. Would the government admit to a truth that would shatter your understanding of reality? Would they say, "Yes, we've met them, they crash here, they're real"? Or would they bury it so deep that only whispers remain, only fragments, only stories, only questions? Because that's all we have now, questions. But maybe the biggest one is, what really fell from the sky in Roswell? And why is the world still being told to look the other way? Lubbock Lights, hundreds witnessed the unexplainable. August 1951, Texas. A sky so dark, stars shimmered like diamonds. And then something appeared, something no one was ready for. What if 100 people saw the same thing at the same time, and were all told they didn't? That's what happened in Lubbock, Texas, on a still summer night, over an American college town, in the heart of the Cold War. Hundreds of people were outside. Families, students, professors. Then suddenly the sky lit up, not once, but many times over the next several nights. A V-shaped formation that moved without sound. They weren't shooting stars. They weren't planes. They weren't satellites. Those didn't exist in 1951. What people saw was a string of glowing blue-white lights, shaped like a perfect V. They moved fast, silently, in perfect sync, like a flock of birds made of light. No engine, no wings, no explanation. And the sightings kept happening. Real witnesses, real fear, real silence. The Lubbock Lights weren't seen by conspiracy theorists or fringe believers. They were seen by people with everything to lose by speaking up. 3 professors from Texas Tech University saw it. Physicists, educators, men of science. One of them, Dr. W.I. Robinson, said, they weren't birds, they weren't jets, and they definitely weren't an illusion. And they weren't alone. Hundreds reported the same thing. Teenagers, police officers, doctors, military personnel. They all described the same lights, the same shape, the same silence. Even the U.S. Air Force was forced to acknowledge it. That's when Project Blue Book stepped in. Photos were taken, and that changed everything. One student, Carl Hart Jr., managed to take photos. 5 shots. Crisp, clear, real. He wasn't a hoaxer. He didn't sell the images. He was just a teenager with a camera and good reflexes. The Air Force interviewed him, took the photos, analyzed them, and the verdict, inconclusive. Of course it was. Why did the lights make no sound? Airplanes can't fly without noise, especially in the 1950s. Jet engines roared like thunder, yet this formation glided overhead silently, effortlessly, smooth as liquid across glass. What kind of craft can do that? In 1951, theories that don't hold up. Theory 1, birds reflecting city lights. That's what the government claimed. Plovers, migrating birds catching light from Lubbock's new street lamps. But the shape was too precise, the speed impossible for birds, the altitude far too high. And again, birds make noise. These lights didn't. Theory 2, secret military aircraft. Maybe, but why fly a secret weapon over a populated town repeatedly? Why not over a desert? Why risk exposure? Why never fly it again? The logic breaks. So, what were they? Some believe it was a UFO reconnaissance flight, a scan, a mapping mission, a warning. Others think it was alien surveillance watching our world from above. Some even suggest it was interdimensional, not extraterrestrial, that these lights weren't flying through the sky. They were phasing into it, appearing like ghosts, leaving just as fast. But why Lubbock? Why Texas? Why then? A pattern emerging. This wasn't an isolated case. In the early 1950s, UFO sightings were increasing globally. From military bases to rural farms, the same descriptions appeared over and over. Silent crafts, blazing lights, sudden disappearances. Something was watching, something was probing, and now, for the first time, cameras were catching it. That changed everything. But the government's response, classic misdirection. They dismissed the incident quickly, blamed it on birds, refused to pursue it further. They buried it in Project blue book undersolved, case closed. Except it wasn't. Those professors, they never accepted the government's explanation. And neither did the witnesses. Because they knew what they saw. And what they saw didn't belong to this earth. What if they couldn't explain it, so they had to erase it? It's easier to mock than to admit ignorance. Easier to dismiss than to say, we don't know what that was. But that's exactly what Lubbock demands. Uncomfortable questions. Why was no sonic boom recorded? Why did the lights return multiple times? Why was there no official investigation released to the public? Why did the Air Force refuse to admit the event was unexplained despite admitting the photos were authentic? And why does this keep happening? Roswell, Lubbock, Phoenix, Belgium, TC UFOs. Different years, different places, same patterns. They come, they're seen, they're recorded, and then they're denied. Is it incompetence or design? The lights were real. That much is certain. But what they were, no one knows. Or at least no one will say. But here's the haunting part. Lubbock wasn't the last time this happened. It was only the beginning. And it raises a question that echoes across every sighting, every whistleblower, every leaked document. If the evidence is real, why won't they show it? What are they afraid we'll discover? That we're not alone? That we're not in control? That our understanding of physics, time, and space is limited? What would it mean if one night a craft appeared above your home? Silent, unblinking, unexplainable. And no one believed you. That's what happened in Lubbock. Hundreds saw it, but history pretended it didn't happen. They saw something real, and they were ignored. So the question now isn't just what were the Lubbock Lights. It's bigger than that. Why does the truth always get buried right when it gets close? Phoenix Lights 1997, the giant flying object the Pentagon pretended didn't exist. March 13, 1997. A clear night over Arizona. And suddenly a shadow darker than the sky moved silently across it. Thousands looked up and saw something that shouldn't exist. It was just after 8 p.m. Phoenix, Arizona. A peaceful evening until the first lights appeared. Not one, not a few, but dozens, forming a perfect V shape, stretching across the sky, larger than a football field. Some said it was a mile wide, and it wasn't just in Phoenix. The lights were reported from Henderson, Nevada to Tucson, Arizona. Almost 300 miles of sky, occupied by something no one could identify. No sound, no rush, just dread. The object moved slowly, deliberately, like it was watching. It didn't roar like a jet, didn't hum like a drone. It made no sound at all, just a massive silhouette, blacker than the night, blocking out stars as it passed. You couldn't hear it, but you could feel it. This wasn't just a few people, thousands of witnesses. Drivers pulled over on the highway. Parents called their children outside. 911 lines were flooded. Air Force veterans, commercial pilots, even a governor. They all saw it, and they all said the same thing. This was not from this world. The governor of Arizona saw it himself. At first, then Governor Fife Symington made jokes. He even held a press conference, bringing out someone in an alien costume. But years later, he confessed. As a pilot and former Air Force officer, I can say this was not any technology I've ever seen. It was enormous, silent, and terrifying. Why lie at first? Why the joke? Because the truth was too dangerous. The lights were real. The silence was manufactured. The media briefly picked it up, then dropped it. Just like Roswell, just like Lubbock. The official story, military flares, Flares dropped during a training exercise that somehow flew silently in formation across 300 miles of desert. Flares that changed direction, maintained a V shape, hovered. Witnesses weren't buying it. Even the military's own people didn't believe the explanation. One former pilot said, "I've seen flares. These weren't flares. They were too structured, too steady, and too coordinated. Radar data gone. Military logs redacted. And once again, no real investigation. Just a shrug, a label, a dismissal." What were the Phoenix Lights? Theory 1. A classified military aircraft. A secret black project. Maybe TR-3B, the rumored triangle-shaped craft. But why fly it over major cities? Why risk mass exposure? And why silence the governor? Theory 2. An extraterrestrial craft. A mothership. Massive. Monitoring human civilization. Maybe a test. Or a message. Some said it reacted to observation. It dimmed when people shined lights at it. Like it was aware. Like it was alive. Some believe it wasn't just one craft but many. Multiple sightings, hours apart. Different shapes. Same patterns. Was it one giant ship? Or several working in tandem? Were they scouting? Were they watching? Or were they reminding us? And then silence. No follow-up. No press conference. No public investigation. Just nothing. Which led people to ask, how do you explain an event witnessed by thousands by saying it didn't matter? Because that's what the government did. Fear, control, denial. People were told they saw flares. They were ridiculed, dismissed. But ask anyone who was there. They'll tell you they saw something real. And more than that, they felt it. So why hide it? Why ignore the largest mass sighting in modern UFO history? Why silence the only governor who dared to speak out? Why deny when video, photographs, and human testimony all said the same thing? Maybe because this time, there was no plausible lie. Because if it wasn't ours, whose was it? If this wasn't American, not Russian, not Chinese, then who built it? Who controlled it? And why did they come? Was it surveillance? A test flight? A show of power? Or a soft landing? A silent encounter? We still don't know. And that's the most terrifying part. In an age of cell phones and mass media, something that massive flew across our skies and vanished into darkness. No crash, no contact, no explanation. Just a haunting question. What else is flying above us unseen? This wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last. The skies have stories. From Roswell to Lubbock to Phoenix, there's a pattern. They appear. We witness. We remember. And then we're told to forget. But people don't forget, because you can't forget what shook you to your core. The lights over Phoenix were not of this world. That's what the witnesses believe. That's what the evidence suggests. And that's what they were told not to say. Don't talk about it. Don't feed the conspiracy. Don't scare the public. But the people saw it, and the people remember. What would you do if you saw it? Would you speak out? Would you record it? Would you tell the world? And what would happen if no one believed you? The CIA files, they've been watching UFOs for decades. When the CIA finally declassified hundreds of UFO documents, what they revealed wasn't an answer. It was a confession. If UFOs don't exist, why did the CIA study them for 70 years? Let that question sink in. We've been told for decades, UFOs aren't real. There's nothing to investigate. It's just weather, birds, or imagination. But behind closed doors, the truth was very different. Because while the public laughed, the CIA was watching closely. The Cold War wasn't just about nukes. It was about the skies. From the 1940s through the 1990s, the U.S. was locked in a quiet panic, not just about the Soviets, but about something else. An identified craft appearing over restricted airspace. Too fast, too quiet, too advanced. Radar couldn't track them. Jets couldn't catch them. And no one could explain them. So the CIA stepped in. They collected, they archived, they hid. The CIA's declassified UFO collection. Thousands of pages of documents, spanning decades. Pilot reports, military briefings, memo after memo after memo. Some are redacted, others are vague. But one thing is clear. They took it seriously. Very seriously. A few examples they didn't want you to see. 1952, multiple military jets scrambled in Europe to intercept bright objects seen over NATO bases. No engagement, no trace left. 1966, U.S. Embassy in Congo reports glowing discs hovering above diplomatic quarters. Local military confirms, no explanation offered. 1975, NORAD detects repeated violations of American airspace by unknown craft. Objects appear on radar, then vanish. Jets fail to intercept. 1980s, U.S. officials tracked high-speed craft over Soviet territory. Surveillance teams confused. CIA documents admit craft exceeds known propulsion capabilities. This isn't hearsay. These are official reports, filed, stamped, classified, until now. So again, ask yourself, why document so much if it's all nonsense? And why were so many reports from pilots and soldiers? These weren't random civilians. They were trained professionals, people who knew the sky, people with nothing to gain and everything to lose. Many of them described metallic objects flying in formation, sudden right-angle turns at supersonic speeds, radar lock-ons that vanished in seconds, objects hovering completely still, then accelerating into the horizon instantly, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times, across multiple continents. The CIA didn't just watch, they investigated. They interviewed pilots, gathered photos, collected radar logs. They even had UFO analysts. Entire task forces built around identifying, analyzing, and silencing reports. So tell me again, why do this for something that doesn't exist? The public got laughter, the government got data, while the media made jokes. The intelligence community treated it like a national threat. Why? Because they weren't just seeing lights in the sky. They were witnessing technology decades ahead of its time. Or worse, not from this time at all. Some documents hint at reverse engineering, references to anomalous material samples, mentions of retrieval programs, notes about technology of unknown origin. Were they studying debris, trying to replicate propulsion systems, building weapons from crashed crafts? If so, where did that material come from? And why were these files buried for decades? Each line is a whisper of a bigger truth. Every redacted word, every timestamp, every fuzzy photo isn't just paperwork. It's a trail, a digital breadcrumb that leads to one conclusion. They know more than they've ever told us, and still no one answers the core question. What are these things? If they're not Russian, if they're not Chinese, if they're not American, then what? And who? The files don't say. But they don't have to, because the silence is enough. Suppression was the strategy. Confusion was the tool. The CIA didn't just study UFOs. They studied people's reactions to them. How quickly the public dismissed, how media distractions worked, how disbelief spread faster than truth. And that was the point. If no one takes UFOs seriously, no one asks dangerous questions. But what happens when the truth leaks out? Because now it is. Former officials are speaking. Pilots are releasing footage. Congress is demanding answers. And the CIA, still quiet, still vague, still pretending the files don't speak for themselves. But they do, loudly. Each document is a silent confession. They never told you the truth because they were too busy collecting it, storing it, studying it, not to protect you, not to reassure you, but to prepare for something they couldn't control. Because the bigger question has always been why now? Why are these documents being released? Why now? Why after so many years of denial? Are they preparing us for something? Or simply trying to get ahead of the story before it tells itself? Because these files are just the start. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's national security. And if you still think UFOs are fantasy, read the CIA files yourself. They're not theories. They're not blog posts. They're official government evidence, staring you in the face. So ask yourself, what else are they still hiding? How many more files are buried? How many more encounters were erased? How many truths are locked inside vaults, waiting to be forgotten? The CIA isn't talking, but the documents, they already did. Project Blue Book, they studied UFOs, then silenced the truth. From 1952 to 1969, the U.S. Air Force ran a secret investigation. Over 12,000 UFO cases logged. Hundreds remained unexplained, and then they shut it all down. If UFOs aren't real, why investigate 12,618 reports? That's not a typo. 12,618 incidents. Logged, analyzed, categorized. That was the job of Project Blue Book, the U.S. military's most ambitious public investigation into UFOs. But was it ever about the truth? Or was it about controlling the narrative? They called it scientific, but science wasn't the goal. Project Blue Book was launched in 1952 at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, run by military officers, engineers, and supposed experts. Its mission: to determine if UFOs are a threat to national security. But in practice, it was about explaining away the unexplainable. How do you investigate something while denying it exists? From the beginning, there was a conflict. Witnesses reported saucer-shaped craft, sudden disappearances, radar contact with no visible object, lights flying in impossible patterns. Blue Book's conclusions: Venus, weather balloon, atmospheric distortion, mass hallucination, over and over again, even when the data said otherwise. But they couldn't hide everything. Out of 12,618 cases, 701 remained unexplained. That's 5.5%. Too many to ignore, too detailed to dismiss. Many involved trained pilots, military officers, and credible civilians. And in some of those cases, entire towns saw the same thing. Same shape, same movement, same silence. So, why shut down the program? In 1969, the Air Force abruptly ended Project Blue Book. No warning, no press conference, just a memo. No evidence UFOs are a threat to national security. Case closed. That's it. No follow-up, no transparency, just silence. But here's the chilling question. Did they end the investigation because it was a dead end, or because they had already found what they were looking for? Some believe it was never meant to find the truth. Project Blue Book wasn't about discovery. It was about containment. It gave the public the illusion of action, made people feel heard. But behind the scenes, the real files went elsewhere. to classified vaults, to CIA offices, to black budget departments the public will never see. The Condon Report, the nail in the coffin. In 1968, physicist Edward Condon released a report saying, UFOs are not worth scientific investigation. But here's what they don't tell you. His team didn't investigate all cases. Many scientists on the team disagreed with the final conclusion. The report was used as an excuse to shut everything down. The fix was in. It wasn't about truth. It was about ending the conversation. The public lost interest. The government didn't. After Blue Book closed, the media stopped caring. But sightings didn't stop, and neither did the military's interest. In fact, things went even deeper underground. New programs emerged. Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program (AETIP), Unacknowledged Special Access Programs (USAPs), reverse engineering divisions buried in defense contracts. They said UFO research was over, but in reality, it just became invisible. A former Blue Book officer speaks out. One insider, Captain Robert Friend, later said, there was always pressure to explain away sightings no matter how real they were. Another, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, once a Blue Book skeptic, became a believer. After years of seeing the data firsthand, I'm convinced something is out there. Hynek went on to form his own independent research because he believed the government had buried the truth. Were they hiding evidence or something worse? Some think Blue Book uncovered crash retrievals, non-human biologics, radar signatures with impossible physics, craft that bent time and space. And once those discoveries happened, Project Blue Book became too public, too risky. So they closed the door, shut down the files, and told the public, there's nothing left to see. But the files never really disappeared. Today, many Blue Book files are available through FOIA, redacted, fragmented, but revealing. And when you read them, the same patterns emerge. Objects performing aerial maneuvers we still can't replicate. Descriptions matching modern UAP encounters. Government officials urging secrecy, time and again. So, was it ever really about safety? Or was it about buying time? To understand what we were dealing with, to develop defenses, or maybe to negotiate. And what did they discover that was too big to tell us? Because if UFOs weren't real, why spend 17 years investigating them? Why track 12,618 cases? Why leave 701 unsolved? Why redact so much of the truth? Unless they found something and decided we weren't ready for it. When they closed Blue Book, they closed the public out, not just from data, but from a conversation that could have reshaped the world. About physics, about life beyond Earth, about what it means to be human. So, they didn't just shut down a program, they shut down our access to wonder. But now the curtain is starting to lift again. We're seeing a resurgence. Whistleblowers from within the Pentagon, Navy pilots with video proof, congressional hearings demanding answers. And suddenly, Project Blue Book feels more relevant than ever. It's part of a pattern. So ask yourself, did they close the files or just move them? Because if the sightings continued, if the technology kept showing up, if the same crafts keep haunting the skies today, then Blue Book wasn't an ending. It was a pivot to secrecy, to silence, to control. Ancient aliens were the pyramids engineered by something not of this earth. They say the pyramids were tombs. But what if they were blueprints from beyond the stars? How did ancient civilizations build with such perfect precision? The Great Pyramid of Giza, built over 4,500 years ago, yet aligned to true north with less than 0.05 error. Even modern compasses can't do that easily. Each stone up to 80 tons, carried from quarries miles away, stacked with mathematical perfection. No cranes, no GPS, no laser cutters, just ropes, wooden sleds, copper chisels. What if the story we've been told is incomplete? Mainstream historians say it was just human ingenuity, but more and more researchers, including architects, engineers, and even NASA scientists, are beginning to whisper another possibility. What if they had help? Not from slaves, not from gods, but from something else entirely. The ancient aliens theory, crazy or covered up. The idea sounds wild, unbelievable, but then you look at the evidence, and suddenly it's not so easy to dismiss, because it's not just the pyramids. Patterns across continents with no communication between cultures. Pyramids in Egypt, step temples in Mesoamerica, megalithic stone circles in Britain, massive underground cities in Turkey, all built with celestial alignments, impossible engineering, unexplained tools, and the same V-shaped formations in carvings and art, thousands of miles apart. No internet, no contact, but somehow the same ideas. Coincidence or contact? The serious connection. Why the stars keep appearing in ancient plans. The Great Pyramid isn't just aligned to the cardinal directions. It's aligned to Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. The ancient Egyptians worshipped it. The Dogon tribe in Africa with no telescopes described Sirius as a binary system, something we only confirm with modern science. How did they know? Who told them? Engineering beyond their time. Each side of the Great Pyramid's base is exactly 230.4 meters long. The difference between sides, less than 2 centimeters. Try doing that today with modern equipment in the desert. Now do it 4,500 years ago, without computers, without lasers, without blueprints. What was the real purpose of the pyramids? Were they tombs? If so, where are the bodies? Most pyramids have no mummies inside, no inscriptions, no signs of burial. So, what were they? Energy generators, star beacons, landing markers, or something more symbolic? And why do so many ancient structures mirror the stars? The 3 pyramids at Giza mirror Orion's belt. Teotihuacan's layout matches the Milky Way. Stonehenge aligns with solstices and eclipses. It's as if the Earth's surface was being mapped to the sky. By who? And for what? Could aliens have shared knowledge with humanity long ago? This isn't just TV fodder. Even legendary physicist Carl Sagan once suggested, it is not out of the question that artifacts of an alien civilization might exist. Maybe not flying saucers, but ideas, blueprints, mathematics, passed down in whispers, encoded in monuments, not to rule us, but to prepare us. Ancient texts hint at visitors from the stars. From the Book of Enoch to Sumerian tablets, there are stories of beings who descended from the heavens, taught mankind agriculture, math, and astronomy, vanished mysteriously after guiding early civilizations. The Mayans spoke of sky gods, the Egyptians of beings who came on flying boats. Were these just myths or memories? The more you look, the more you find. Strange carvings, beings in helmets, tools that look suspiciously modern, helicopter-like hieroglyphs in Abydos, Egypt, astronaut statues in Colombia, flight suits on cave walls in Australia. They've always been there. We just didn't know how to read them. And what if we're finally ready to understand? In the age of satellites and AI, we're seeing these monuments in new ways. Patterns are emerging, connections being made, And suddenly, the ancient alien theory doesn't feel so ridiculous. It feels possible, even probable. But here's what they don't want you to ask. If we had contact once, could it happen again? Or worse, has it never stopped? Have they been watching us since the beginning, guiding us, shaping us, or simply observing, waiting for us to become ready? Did they build the pyramids, or did they build something bigger? Not just stone monuments, but a roadmap, a code, a message, carved into the earth, written across the stars. Ancient genius or alien legacy? What do you believe? Were our ancestors far more advanced than we think? Or were they never alone in the first place? Because if extraterrestrials did help build the Great Pyramid, even once, then everything changes. History, religion, science, identity. Maybe the truth was never lost, just buried. Buried beneath sand, beneath time, beneath disbelief. But it's rising now. As we unlock the stars, as we return to the moon, as we look outward again, we may be about to rediscover what they left behind. Bob Lazar, I touch technology not from this earth. What if someone told you they worked on alien spacecraft, took it apart, tried to make it fly? Would you laugh, or would you listen? In 1989, one man broke the silence. His name was Bob Lazar, a physicist, an engineer, or liar. He walked into a Las Vegas news studio, sat down, and said the unthinkable. I worked at a secret base near Area 51. We were trying to reverse engineer alien spacecraft. The world changed that night. Before Lazar, Area 51 was just a rumor, a shadow, a desert myth. But after his interview, it became the epicenter of every alien conspiracy on Earth. Because Lazar didn't just make claims, he described technology that scientists still can't explain. He said there were 9 flying saucers, not one, 9, stored underground at a facility called S4, a hidden outpost near Area 51. Each craft, Lazar claimed, was different shapes, different damage, like they'd been recovered from multiple places. Some looked brand new, others ancient. The propulsion, anti-gravity, literally. Lazar described a gravity wave amplifier, a machine that didn't use fuel, combustion, or jets. It bent gravity itself. You don't burn anything, you manipulate space-time. He said the ships could move without inertia. No sonic boom, no engine noise, just instant movement like falling forward, but without motion. Element 115, the mystery fuel. Lazar said the core of the craft was powered by a then unknown element, element 115. At the time, no such element existed on the periodic table. But in 2003, scientists synthesized element 115, moscovium, a bizarre, highly unstable material. Coincidence or confirmation? So, who is Bob Lazar really? A genius? A fraud? He claims. He studied at MIT and Caltech. He worked for Los Alamos National Lab. He was recruited for secret defense research, but records of his education disappeared. No degree, no proof. Yet there's a catch. Los Alamos once denied he worked there until evidence surfaced. Lazar appeared in a 1980s phone book listing employees at Los Alamos. There's even a newspaper photo showing him working on particle accelerators. So why deny it? Why erase him? Unless someone wanted him erased. He passed lie detector tests multiple times. In multiple polygraph exams, Lazar stayed consistent. His story never changed, not once in over 30 years. Even under pressure, even with his life threatened, he never backed down. But What does the government say? Officially, they deny everything. No Bob Lazar. No S for base. No flying saucers. But strangely, right after his interview aired, something odd happened. Lazar said he took friends to a specific location near Area 51 to watch test flights of the craft. He gave the exact time and place. And guess what? Video shows strange lights, moving in impossible ways. Exactly where he said they'd be. Coincidence or exposure? He was raided by the FBI decades later. In 2017, federal agents raided Lazar's business. Their reason? Looking for illegal chemical materials. But some believe the truth was different. That Lazar may have kept element 115, a sample. Proof? Was the raid about safety, or about silencing him again? The scientific world remains divided. Skeptics say there's no hard evidence. His credentials can't be verified. It's just another hoax. But physicists like Dr. Stanton Friedman and George Knapp, the journalist who broke Lazar's story, disagree. They believe Lazar is telling the truth, or, at the very least, was involved in something real, something the government doesn't want you to know. But here's the bigger question. Why risk everything? Why ruin your reputation? Why invite government surveillance, harassment, and decades of ridicule? What did Bob Lazar gain? Nothing. No money. No fame. No career advancement. Just fear, isolation, threats. So what if he's telling the truth? What if reverse engineering alien tech is real? What if there really are hidden craft at Area 51? What if right now scientists are unlocking secrets from other worlds? Gravity engines, quantum manipulation, invisibility fields, warp drives. And what if this tech isn't just hidden, but weaponized? If you touched a UFO, would you speak out? Would you risk your life, your family, your freedom? Would you fight to expose it, knowing no one might believe you? That's what Bob Lazar did. Whether you believe him or not, he changed the conversation forever. He was the first, but he won't be the last. Since Lazar, other whistleblowers have stepped forward. Former intelligence officers, defense contractors, pilots, physicists, all saying the same thing. The government has alien technology, and they're keeping it from the world. If that's true, what are they afraid of? Panic, collapse of religion or power structures, or losing control of technology that could change everything? Free energy, instant travel, cures for disease, a new world, but only if it's shared. The Lazar legacy. Whether hoax or hero, Bob Lazar raised the stakes. He made Area 51 a global headline. He brought reverse engineering UFOs into the mainstream, and even decades later, he's still being investigated. If he was just a liar, why haven't they let him go? And that leaves us with one final question. If Lazar really saw what he claimed, and if he really touched alien technology, then the biggest question isn't did he lie? It's, what else is buried under the Nevada desert? And who's keeping it there? UAP report. The Pentagon admits, we don't know what they are. In 2021, the Pentagon dropped a bombshell, not about aliens, but about the unknown. 144 mysterious encounters, all unexplained. That's right, 144 UAP unidentified aerial phenomena events, logged, studied, unsolved. The U.S. Department of Defense admitted, we don't know what they are. No drones, no weather balloons, no human-made aircraft, just unexplained. Why now? Why admit this after decades of silence? For decades, reports were dismissed as hoaxes or sensor glitches. Then, suddenly, an official report, a public acknowledgement. Was this a leak, a forced disclosure, or a carefully crafted reveal? The report is clear but also cloudy. The 2021 UAP report states, most UAPs are unexplained. They move in ways defying known physics. They can accelerate, stop, and maneuver instantly. They sometimes interfere with military operations. But, and here's the catch, the report does not confirm extraterrestrial origin. It simply says, we don't know. Is this a message to prepare us? Some experts think the government is softening the ground, giving the public a taste of the unknown, conditioning us for a bigger reveal. Others say it's about national security, letting adversaries know the U.S. is aware. But if they don't know, then who does? Is the government hiding information? Are there secret programs still researching these phenomena? What about black projects we don't hear about? Military pilots have come forward. Since the report, many pilots have spoken openly, witnessed craft moving at impossible speeds, experienced communications jamming, felt that these objects were intelligently controlled. One Navy pilot said, "This isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening. Why keep it secret for so long? If UAPs pose a threat or an opportunity, why keep it hidden? Is it fear of panic or protection of classified tech?" The public reaction was mixed. Some celebrated the transparency. Others called it a cover-up. Conspiracy theories exploded, from alien invasions to secret human tech. And what about the unanswered questions? If the Pentagon admits ignorance about 144 events, how many more are they hiding? How many incidents go unreported? What's next for UAP research? Congress has called for more investigations. Funding is increasing. The military is training personnel to report sightings. Scientists are urging open research. Are we on the brink of a new era? The UAP report may be the start, the first step to lifting the veil. Or it may be another layer of mystery, another controlled narrative. Ask yourself, if the government admits they don't know, what does that mean for you? Are we alone? Or are we just beginning to understand? The truth remains out there. But one thing's clear, the era of ignoring UFOs is over. The sky holds secrets, and we're closer than ever to unlocking them. U.S. Navy pilot speaks out, we face them every week. Imagine flying at supersonic speed, when suddenly, an unknown object outpaces you effortlessly. No noise, no visible engines, just pure speed. Lieutenant Ryan Graves broke the silence. He's not a conspiracy theorist. He's a professional fighter pilot, a Navy lieutenant with thousands of flight hours. Graves revealed a shocking truth. We see these objects, sometimes, multiple times a week. Where are these encounters happening? Just off the coast of Virginia, in one of the most secure military airspaces. Pilots scrambled, chased, but these objects defied every known law of physics. The proof, video footage from F-18 jets. Military-grade infrared cameras caught it all. Objects moving at impossible speeds, hovering without propulsion, accelerating instantly from zero to hypersonic, disappearing in a blink. Not just sightings confirmed by multiple pilots. Graves and his squadron weren't alone. Other pilots reported the same strange encounters. Their radar showed no known aircraft signatures. The Pentagon even confirmed the footage's authenticity. What could they be? Alien surveillance drones, foreign adversaries' secret tech, and natural atmospheric phenomena. The truth is, no one knows. The military is concerned. These aren't just curiosities, they're potential threats. Imagine an unknown craft with superior technology watching your every move. collecting data on nuclear submarines, monitoring military exercises. What would you do if you were flying the jet? Adrenaline spikes. Questions flood your mind. Is this real? Can I outmaneuver it? Am I in danger? For Lieutenant Graves, the answer is clear. It's terrifying and fascinating at the same time. Why is this finally coming to light? For years, pilots were silenced, official reports buried. But now, they're speaking out, and it's not just Graves. Other pilots have shared similar stories. Radar lock-ons that vanish suddenly, electronic systems that malfunction near UAPs, close encounters at 20,000 feet altitude. Is this a warning? Are these objects observing military strength, testing defenses, sending a message? Or is it an invitation? The U.S. government's response: they've launched task forces, increased funding for UAP investigations, but answers remain elusive. What if we're not alone in our airspace? Not just in distant galaxies, not just in Hollywood fantasies. Right here, right now. For pilots, it's more than just mystery. It's a daily reality, a test of skill and nerves. The question remains, what do they want? Are they hostile, curious, watching? Imagine the shock, seeing an object outperform everything humanity has created, knowing it's not ours. This is no longer science fiction. It's a challenge to our understanding, a call to open minds. If you were Pilot Graves, what would you do? Speak out, fight the silence, seek the truth. The wow signal a greeting from another civilization. Imagine hearing a message from the stars, a signal so strange, so powerful, that it made a scientist shout wow. In 1977, the universe spoke loudly. At Ohio State University, a radio telescope named Big Ear scanned the skies. Its mission: to listen for signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. One August night, it caught something extraordinary, a signal like no other. For 72 seconds, the telescope received a powerful, narrow-band radio signal. It was unlike anything natural, not from the sun, planets, or known space phenomena. No one could explain it. The wow that echoed through science. Jerry R. Emmon, the astronomer monitoring the data, circled the sequence on printout paper. Next to it, he wrote one word: wow. The signal's strength and pattern suggested a deliberate transmission, a message sent across light years. But where did it come from? The exact origin? A mystery. It seemed to come from the constellation Sagittarius, New the Chi Sagittari star group, a region filled with sun-like stars, potentially home to other worlds. Was it an invitation? Could it be a greeting? An alien hello? Scientists debated. Was it a natural cosmic phenomenon? A human-made interference? Or truly a message from intelligent life? No repeat, no reply. The most frustrating part: the signal never repeated. Despite efforts by astronomers worldwide, no one has ever picked it up again. Is silence the universe's answer? Is the silence after the wow signal a sign? Are they waiting for us to respond? Or is it a one-way message? The wow signal remains one of the greatest mysteries. It sparked dreams, fears, endless speculation. Could this be proof we're not alone? If true, it means we're part of a cosmic community. Somewhere out there, minds are trying to connect. Our future might be intertwined with theirs. But why haven't we heard more? Is the universe vast and quiet? Are we listening wrong? Or are signals to fate? What would you do if you received that signal? Would you broadcast a reply, stay silent and observe, fear the unknown? The wow signal challenges everything. It asks, are we ready to meet others? Can we understand their message? Scientists keep searching. Projects like SETI continue. Listening, hoping. The universe still holds many secrets. Is the wow signal waiting for us to say hello? Or is it a cosmic tease? A reminder of the vast unknown? The unanswered question, what are they so afraid of? If there's nothing to hide, why are they working so hard to keep it from you? For decades, governments have danced around one truth. UFOs, UAPs, whistleblowers, leaked videos, declassified files. The signs are everywhere. Yet when you ask officials, they say, no comment. Weather balloons, training exercises. So ask yourself, why the silence? Why would the most powerful governments on Earth refuse to confirm or deny what's in our skies? Why do they redact documents, erase names, shut down inquiries? Is it just about national security, or is there something bigger at stake? Something more terrifying than enemy tech? Something that could shatter everything we believe? Here's the theory that terrifies them most. If humanity learned without a doubt that we are not alone, what would happen? Religion would be shaken, ancient texts reinterpreted, belief systems questioned, churches and temples forced to respond. Are angels really beings from other worlds? Or gods we worship visitors in ancient ships? Politics would be shattered. Who controls alien contact? Which nation speaks for who? Would global power shift overnight? Would governments collapse under pressure to share what they've hidden? Technology would be revolutionized. Zero-point energy, gravity manipulation, faster than light travel. If humanity unlocked alien tech, oil, gas, and current industries could become obsolete. Entire economies might crumble, and control gone. Because knowledge is power, and disclosure is surrendering control. If the people knew the truth, governments wouldn't be in charge anymore. So they lie, they delay, they distract, they discredit witnesses, they label truth seekers as crazy. What if they've known for decades, from Roswell to Project Blue Book to Area 51 to the UAP report? Each breadcrumb points to one massive reality. They know more than they say, but the cracks are showing. Whistleblowers are speaking out. Pilots are going public. Journalists are digging deeper. And the internet, it's connecting the dots faster than ever before. The cover-up can't last forever. Not in the age of global cameras, satellite leaks, and civilian space travel. Truth is slipping through the cracks. So again, what are they so afraid of? Mass panic? Civil unrest? Losing power? Or something worse? What if you're close to the answer? Maybe that's why they don't want you asking questions. Why they mock UFO believers. Why they censor, erase, distract. Because the moment you start asking the right questions is the moment their wall starts to fall. Maybe the real threat is your awareness. When enough people demand truth, denial is no longer an option. When millions stop laughing and start listening, the game changes. The final question echoes loudly. If they've been lying about this, what else are they hiding? And if this is just the beginning, what's coming next? A staged disclosure. A shocking event, a secret already unfolding in the background. They don't want you to look up, because when you do, you'll start connecting dots they can't control. They don't want you to ask, because the answers are already out there, in leaked videos, declassified files, and voices they can't silence forever. They don't want you to know, because the truth will change everything. Not someday, but soon. The open ending is the truth hidden behind the curtain. 5 cases, 5 undeniable pieces of a puzzle, and still no clear answers. But one thing is certain, you're not crazy for asking questions. What you've seen isn't fiction. From Roswell's crash, to the Phoenix Lights, to government reports and whistleblowers, to a 72-second signal from deep space. These are real events, with real data, real witnesses, real silence. So why aren't we talking about it more? Why does the mainstream avoid it? Why are truth seekers mocked? Why is aliens still treated like a punchline? Maybe it's not about the truth, but about who controls it. Because truth is power, and power doesn't like to share. The 5 cases you've seen raise one huge question. Have we ever really been told the full story? Let's rewind. Roswell, first a flying saucer, then a weather balloon. Lubbock Lights, hundreds of witnesses, no conclusion. Phoenix Lights, a massive, silent object, no explanation. UAT report, 144 unknown encounters, zero resolution. Bob Lazar and military pilots' first-hand experiences ignored, and still, no answers. The patterns are there: consistent sightings, suppressed files, denials followed by slow admissions, whistleblowers silenced, questions dismissed until they can no longer be. This isn't coincidence, it's strategy. So, what now? Do we keep waiting for governments to tell the truth? Or do we start demanding it? Maybe the truth isn't coming in a press conference. Maybe it's already here, in leaked videos, in declassified documents, in pilots' testimonies, in ancient sites aligned with the stars. Maybe the truth is what they haven't said. If they know, what are they waiting for? Are we the ones being observed? Are these crafts here to study us or warn us? And here's the most chilling question of all. If aliens have already arrived, who are they watching? US or the ones in power? Look around. Something's changing. More transparency, more sightings, more voices coming forward. Maybe we're on the edge of something huge. Maybe the curtain is starting to lift. But will we like what we see behind it? A future of open contact, or a future where the truth is revealed too late? The universe is speaking. Are we ready to listen? Because somewhere out there, a signal may be traveling toward us. Or maybe it already arrived in 1977, or 1947, or long before that. Every answer brings more questions. Why now? Why the sudden admissions? Why these specific leaks? Is it disclosure or distraction? The search for truth isn't over, it's just beginning. We've shown you the evidence, the facts, the whispers from inside the machine. What you do next is up to you. And remember, sometimes the silence is the loudest message of all. So ask yourself one final time, if they've come to Earth, who are they really watching? You, me, or the governments who pretend to protect us? The truth is no longer up there. It's right here, and it's knocking. Will we open the door, or keep pretending no one's home?